All right, Kansas City Royals fans, welcome back. It's June 2026. We're into, obviously, the 2026 season. If you've been looking at the standings here, I want to brace you. Things aren't going too well. We're 34 and 41. We're 17 and a half out of the division, which isn't the end of the world because, we need to get to the top two or into the wild card. We're 5.5 out of the wild card, which is certainly surmountable at this point in the season if we turn it up. But there's so many teams between us here. We've got an uphill battle just to make the postseason. Before we get into the Royals, I just wanted to point out that the Braves have the top three leaders in WAR in the AL. They're 57 and 19. So expanded standings wise, our run differential is -10 or -10 if you prefer. So we're 2 below our Pythagorean. Our Pythagorean says we should be more like 36 and 39, but we're in the ballpark. We're not a very good team either way. So what's gone on? Well, I would say it's a combination here of a bunch of the signings that we made in the offseason. The offensive signings have not worked out well, and we've had a lot of injuries to deal with again. I think the thinking has been here, like I've got kind of like my core hitters. The pitching's fine. You can see it, right? We're fourth in runs allowed. Bullpen ERA is third. Starters ERA is seventh. The defense is decent. The hitting's the problem, like it's been every year. I think some of that is ballpark, but you can't just blame that every year, right? I think I've got the core, like the Witt, Melendez, and then signed Ohtani. Castellanos has established himself as a dude, and outside of that, it's been a struggle to find like the next tier of players who can help fill in offensively. I have some really good defensive players on the team, like Mayer, my center fielder that I drafted. But anyways, I'll stop going on with a whole like a whole what's the word I'm looking for when a whole narrative here. It's not the word I'm looking for, but monologue. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. A whole monologue about the state of the team. We'll just get into the details here. We're 15th in the NL in runs scored. We're last. Or no, we're not last because there are 32 teams, right? Because we expanded. So there are 16 in each league. So we're second to last. Hooray. Because the batting average are really not that bad. Slug on base, we're 11th. So, we're 13th in home runs. We're 13th in base on balls. It's just not good. It's just not good. I'll show you the injuries we have going on now. We've had other injuries throughout the year. To start, Ohtani's hurt again. So we're on June 29th. He's been out since June 6th. On a team that is just dying for runs, to lose a guy with a 156 WRC plus is just devastating. We're reeling here. As a pitcher, he's been okay this year. His ERA is actually 8% worse than the league average, where his FIP is actually 8% better. He's got a 4.45 ERA, 3.79 FIP. It's interesting. His home runs are down a bit. The BABIP isn't crazy, but he's striking out half a guy fewer per nine, walking almost a dude more per nine. So the pitching hasn't been great, but the hitting has been phenomenal. But he's been a decent middle of the rotation pitcher. What other injuries do we have here? It's hard. So Eric Pena is a guy who was in our system who, because we just ended up with nobody playing well in our outfield and left field, I called him up. And you can see he went hitless in his last 5 games, a bunch of at-bats. And even with that, was an 89 WRC+. plus. He was like interesting enough that it was good to have him up and maybe see at 23 if he could establish himself. He came out hitting really well, then went into a slump and then got hurt. So he's out for another 5 days and then he's back. Alex Wood has missed a bunch of time. He went out. When did he go? His injury was. When did he get hurt? So Alex, he went out in early May. DL Hall's been out since the year started. Idrago has been out all year, I think. Seth Martinez has been out all year since last year. Nick Lofton has missed the majority of the season. Let me go to my 40-man here, and I'll kind of walk you through. Actually, let's go to the lineups. Sorry, there's just so many ways I could do this. So catcher, we've got Melendez and Hernandez. Let me go to the main batting goodness here. Let's go by position, and then we'll just kind of walk down that way. You can see Hernandez has been bad at the plate. Melendez has been good, but a little down for himself for his normal. Well, 115. What did he do last year? Yeah, he's been 142, 122, 115 this year. So a solid year, but a little bit of a drop-off so far. Jose Abreu, a 44 WRC plus, negative 1.2 WAR, and 217 plate appearances. We knew this was a risk coming in for sure because he is 39. But, and his walks had decreased the year before. His strikeouts were up and his BABIP was inflated. So we knew, maybe we weren't going to get this guy who, 108, 116, 148, 132 WRC pluses, and this year he's a 44. This has been a pattern for guys we've brought in across multiple hitting coaches. I did fire my hitting coach and promoted my AAA hitting coach who has had a lot of success there and has great ratings. I also fired my manager and hired Gabe Kapler. That was just a few days ago. So this has happened across multiple managers, multiple pitching coaches that we've had this issue. Maybe I'm just not bringing the right kinds of hitters to Kansas City's ballpark, but there's got to be like this drastic of a drop-off, and to see it with him and to see it with Devers. But Mondesi had a big drop-off too. It's just like, man, what's going on here? It's a conspiracy. So Castellanos is having another great season for us, a 149 WRC plus. Glad we brought in that guy. J.C. Correa, a 39 WRC plus. Like, he's a bench bat. He's on pace to just get 175 plate appearances. It was just a disaster season for him after being like a slightly below average major league player as a bench player the first 2 years, which was fine. But it might be time to cut bait with him. Nick Lofton has only had 68 plate appearances, 16 starts. He missed much of the year hurt. He's got a 68 WRC plus. We'll need more from him, obviously, if he can get going. Bobby Witt, a bit just like Melendez, solid above average player, really good season, but not like a superstar season. Mike Brousseau we brought in as a free agent. He ended up getting a lot of playing time because of the injuries, the slumps, etc. He's hit a 71 WRC plus, but if you look, his April was great. 45 plate appearances, a 168 WRC plus. Then in May, 97 plate appearances, WRC plus of 2. A 115, 206, 149 slash line. And then he's been better in June. He's been back a little above league average, so that's encouraging. Hopefully May with the 153 BABIP was just an aberration, but his BABIP, is near 400 outside of May, so that's not going to last either. Nicky Lopez having a really nice offensive season, 108 WRC plus, 2.3 WAR. He's on pace for a 5 WAR season because his glove is so good. Thank goodness he has been so good for us. Matthew Acosta, who started the season as our starting left fielder. Then I sent him down because of the Pena injury. Or no, then called up Pena. I'm sorry. And then Pena got hurt, and then Ohtani got hurt, so now Acosta's back up. And he's actually been hitting. You can see he's got hits in 5 straight, but a 62 WRC plus. Negative WAR. You can't have these black holes in your lineup or even on your bench like this. We've got a lot of work to do to fix this team if we're going to make a run. RJ Mayer, he's there for his glove, 71 WRC plus. We can afford to have a 71 WRC plus guy down the bottom of our order if he's playing a Gold Glove center field, which he is, I think. He's 72 games, 11.9 positive zone rating. He should win the Gold Glove. So that's fine. Grichuk, actually, this number looks terrible. 52 WRC plus. It looks like a disaster. And, overall it is. But let's look at his 2026 batting splits. Oh, so actually now he's bad against both. When I looked like several weeks ago, he was hitting lefties. His lefty WRC plus was above 100, and we brought him in to hit lefties, but he was getting a lot of plate appearances against righties, even though I asked for him not to get those plate appearances. He is angry because he's not starting every day. So yeah, this is a guy who, let's look at his against lefties. Look how he had a bad year in 2023, but he's a 106 WRC plus guy against lefties. And the last 3 he's gone 118, 124, and then this year he's a 49. Like, I don't know. What can you do about that? When you bring in a guy to be a bench outfielder to hit lefties, and he's got a track record of doing it, and then all of a sudden he stops doing it? I don't know, man. Like, all of a sudden he's not walking. He hasn't walked a single time against lefties this year. So, yeah, I don't know. I've got to change some things up here to rescue this team. Now, TJ White has been a revelation. Called up when Ohtani got hurt. It's only 71 plate appearances, got a 150 WRC plus. Now, maybe it's a little cheesy the way I acquired him. I signed him as a free agent in March of 2026. I don't know why he was a free agent or why he got cut. Now, I play with certain house rules of, like, with the Rule 5 draft and waivers. I don't allow myself to claim guys those ways that through the Rule 5 or through waivers that are, like, younger than 25, because I think sometimes the AI doesn't do a good job of protecting the right guys or keeping the right guys on their 40-man, etc. And you can accumulate a really good farm system just through the Rule 5. The Rule 5, it can become your farm system. If you keep on you can acquire a lot of young talent, let's say that, through the Rule 5 and waivers that probably shouldn't be available to you. Now, TJ White should not have been available to me, but for some reason he was, and then he's only gotten better. You can see he showed a lot of improvement last year in September, but then after I signed him in March, like his eye, his power, and his contact improved, and then his contact improved again, potential, since I've gotten him. So, yeah, I don't know why he was out there, but he was. I got him. Feels a little cheesy, but hey, here we are. I actually caught him up directly from Double-A. He had not played above High A before last year, and he hadn't been amazing. Like, you can see he was a bit above league average, but he's 21 in A and High A, doing pretty well with a good scouting report. He shouldn't have been cut loose. So then he started crushing Double-A pitching for me. I figured, what the heck? I'm calling him up. I need a guy who can hit home runs. I need a guy to come up and do some stuff. And he's done stuff so far. Not a great fielder, but we can live with that if he keeps doing with the bat. The rest of the 40-man, just to show you who else has been a freaking disaster for us, who we've tried this year. Let's see. None of those guys have been up. Lutz. Did I have to call up Lutz for a little bit because of injuries? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, I did. All right, hold on. Yeah, Lutz has been up for 23 plate appearances and rocked a 31 WRC plus. Brousseau, we talked about. Candelario has not been up. Maldonado has not been up. Bryce Turing, you remember, started the year on our team. We were really excited to acquire him from Atlanta after his 108 WRC plus in the majors the year before, but you can see in 108 plate appearances, he put up negative .2 WAR. He hit 189. His on base was 287. Just terrible, man. And this was a guy who we needed to step up when the likes of Nick Lofton went on the IL. Another guy who we were hoping could step up was Brooks Lee. So, we've got so many options here between Brousseau, Turing, Correa, Lee. And no, none of them are superstars, but that's like your 40-man. They're not going to all be superstars. You just want dudes like, okay, if I have an injury at this position or, some guy falls off the map in terms of performance, I want a few decent major league options to be able to step in and at least just stop the bleeding, right? And none of these guys were able to. None of these guys. Brooks Lee, a youngish infield guy, getting a really big shot in the majors for the first time, 107 plate appearances, a 39 WRC plus. Now, that's not the end of the line for him because he's only 25. He's had success at AAA, and he's doing okay in AAA now that he's back down there. But again, I'm just running down these lists of guys who've just been terrible this year, and you can see why the team was bad. Now, Ryan Mountcastle, maybe it's time. He hasn't been good in AAA. He's angry because he's down there, but he hasn't done anything in the majors in a long time. But maybe it's time just to call him up and let him get some at-bats at DH over Abreu. He can't be worse than Abreu, right? Hopefully not. So yeah, that's the hitting side of thing. We have a lot of work to do here for the trade deadline, especially around the bench. Our bench is just a disaster, and yeah, I'll stop there. We have work to do. Pitching has been better. Some guys have had some down years, but let's sort by innings pitched. So Alec Marsh, not the year he had last year, where his ERA was crazy good, 2.39. It's a 4.31, so it's way higher, but his FIP is decent. His Sierra's really good. He's on pace for 2.9 WAR, 2.4 R WAR, so an above average starter. But he hasn't pitched like an ace, which he kind of did last year. But he might get on track. Like he's had a decent enough season. And let's see, Brady Singer, kind of the same story here. He's on pace for 2.8 WAR. Our WAR not nearly as good. It's interesting that our defense is pretty good, but this FIP is like a run lower than the ERA, and that's for a few guys. So his FIP is kind of in the neighborhood of where it's been the last couple seasons when he's pitched more like a number 1, number 2 starter. This year, his ERA is just way higher. His strikeouts are up. His walks are up a bit. His home runs are about the same. But so yeah, a solid season from him, but not an ace season from Singer or Marsh, which is okay. We've been surviving. Asa Lacy, really good season so far from him in 15 starts. He's got a 3.80 ERA, a 2.87 FIP. So really solid from him. Angel Zerpa is now in the rotation. He's pitched a nice 69 innings and has a 2.73 ERA. He's been really good. Alfredo Garcia worked his way into the rotation. He's 18 games, 4 starts, 48 2/3 innings, 2.22 ERA, a 2.52 FIP. So that's fun. He's been really good. Klein has been excellent. Murphy, Caraway has been excellent. Anderson's been excellent. Hernandez got off to a terrible start, sent him down. Now he's back up. He's been a little better. Valdez has been up and down. McKinley Moore has been awesome. Sixto Sanchez has been fine. So yeah, that's the pitching staff. I did want to go check in on this, how old friend Rafael Devers is doing, because when I checked him like a month or so ago, he was having a bounce back season. Okay, so he's not lighting the world on fire. Now he's doing better than he did for us the last 2 years, but a 100 WRC plus. He's doing okay. He's hitting a bunch of home runs. He's already more than doubled what he did last year in 384 plate appearances. And the other guy that I wanted to check in on was Alberto Mondesi. Now he's wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's having a bounce back season. Better than that. So yeah, he's on pace for 6 WAR. He's got a 115 WRC plus. I'm sure he's playing really good defense wherever he's playing. Strikeouts are down a little bit. Walks are about the same. The BABIP is up at 342 versus 298 last year. So yeah, we went with it. This is a guy who we would have loved to have had with like the Lofton injury, and then, but I really thought with like Brousseau, Turang, or I know I'm saying his name wrong, but that's what I've got for you today. Lee, Correa. I thought between all those guys, like, all those guys combined are making like less than half of what Mondesi's making. And after the season Mondesi had in 2025, and the fact that he's a free agent after this year, it looks like the Astros assigned him to an extension here. I thought this was a smart play to turn him into assets we brought back, get cheaper, and let him hit the free agent market. Now he signed a 5-year, $63 million extension at the age of 30 with the Astros. I don't know if I'd be looking to do that. He's been really up and down. Really up and down. You can see if you go down, he had 2 really good seasons for us, 1 awesome season, but a couple awful seasons too. So, I don't know. I'm still fine with that move. Around the league, let's go look at the league leaders real quick and see. So Castellanos is leading the league in average. Spencer Torkelson leading the league in home runs. Oh wow, he's having a great year. He had a great year last year too. All right, these photos should be here now. Who's this guy? Kalai Rosario. He's a real player, I think. Yeah. 5th round 2020 by the Twins. And he's turned into a outstanding hitter for the Twins the last 2 years. It's kind of fun. Got Torkelson, Acuna is just a monster. Ozzy Albies is up there. Yeah, it's a lot of it's the Atlanta Braves show, man. They're a great team in this. Corbin Carroll leading the league in steals. Joey Gallo, shocker, leading the league in strikeouts. Remember when we were thinking about signing him? Man, Acuna's OPS plus is 225. Kyle Tucker, Swanson, Vlad, Yohan Moncada. Pitching leaders, let's see what's going on. Tyler Glass now in San Diego with a 1.87 ERA. It's almost a run better than the next dude. That's crazy. Herman Marquez is leading the league in innings pitched. Glass now, DeGrom, Bueller. Oh, Contreras, that's fun. He's on the Red Sox in this too. Lopez kind of closes out the top 5 for ERA. Lucas Giolito's thrown 2 complete games. Let's see. There might be interesting stuff here I'm missing, but I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much and bore you guys. Pittsburgh Gangster, Glenn Otto, leading the league with 12 holds. So standings-wise, the Box Turtles are they'd be in the playoffs if the season ended today. And man, like they've got 48 wins, so the 1, 2, 3, they're 4th in the league in wins. But they're just in there with the Braves, so that's tough. But looks like they'll probably pretty easily, unless they collapse, make the playoffs via either the 2 seed in the Atlantic or a wild card. So, yeah, we've got our work cut out for us. What am I going to do? I'm not really sure yet in terms of the moves I'm going to make. I think going down the depth chart here, like Ohtani's going to be back in right field, which can maybe push White to left, but then we need like another outfielder. We need to figure out our backup situation in the infield. Maybe bring in some pitching too, because the injuries have kind of called guys into the rotation and into the majors who maybe shouldn't be there on a team that needs to go on a huge run. And like I said, I did hire Gabe Kapler. He hasn't been here for long. He's 3-3, so he's been here for 6 games. He was a guy who I wanted to hire a long time ago, but he was not interested, but I guess he became interested. He's got good relationships with a lot of the team. So, and then I also brought up Ben Johnson as my hitting coach, and I've been 16-19 since he came up. So that didn't exactly change the scene too much yet, but. So I'll go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do for the trade deadline, get this team together. It would be pretty big disappointment to miss the playoffs, like right in the middle of Witt's prime, Melendez's prime, Ohtani's contract. We've got Singer and Marsh like in their primes under contract. This is a year when we should be making noise, and we're not right now. But we'll go forward a bit here and hopefully make up some ground and get back into the thick of the playoff picture. So we very much did not get back in the playoff picture. It's now July 27th. We're 43-56, 21.5 out of the division. We're 17.5 behind the second place Rockies for the 2 NL Central playoff spots. Wild card, we are 10 games back and about 34,000 teams between us and the last spot. I think the ship has sailed on us making the postseason this season. Ben, things have gone poorly. I was trying to think if I've kind of had like a deadline in my last couple sims where in like the O's and the Phillies and then this sim where I've been in like win now and then I've had to like punt at the deadline. Of course, I've had it happen playing the game, but I'm trying to remember if it's happened in any of my like sims here on the channel. But I actually went out and made a bunch of moves in late June, early July to try to get this team. I'll go into those in a minute to try to get this team going. But you can see we're 8-14 in July. We've had 2 different managers this year. We've had 2 different hitting coaches. We've made multiple trades, and stuff just isn't working this year. Stuff just is not working. Let me show you the trades I made that failed to bring us back into the playoff picture. So on June 26th, we went out and brought in Nick Senzel, who is in the last year of a contract and thought he could fix, even though he didn't have a lot of second base experience. He's playing some outfield, some second base. He was having a really good year for the Rangers with 133 WRC plus against over 303 plate appearances. You can see that has plummeted to a 60 WRC plus in 84 plate appearances for us. Walk rate's about the same. Strikeout rate's up a lot. BABIP is down from 376 to 246. That didn't work out. We gave up Bryce Turang, who is a guy who we got back from Atlanta. who had really, really struggled for us. And I took a risk, and it didn't pay off. It's not that big of a risk. It's not like Turing's like a star. So yeah, that's the Nick Senzel trade did not help. Then went and traded Brady McConnell, who is a former prospect who he's 28 now. He kind of flamed out for us. Wasn't going to develop into really a major league player for us at this point. We got Mike Yastrzemski in the last year of a deal at 35 years old. Was off to a tremendous start with the Orioles. You can see the 181 WRC plus, 308, 415, 598 slash line, and he's been a monster for us since we got him. 215 WRC plus, fueled by a 457 BABIP, but it hasn't been enough. It has not been enough. But hey, that's at least one guy that we got that played well. Then I wanted to get rid of Grichuk to make room for Yastrzemski and Senzel, and I traded Grichuk and kind of a minor league infielder who didn't have much promise for us, and I brought in reliever Josh Taylor because we needed some relief help. But at this point, we had a crowded 40-man. So I traded Eric Orze to Colorado. This is a reliever who I did not expect to have much trade value. You can see he's kind of been up and down. He's pitched a little bit for us, but not much. He pitched 5 1/3 innings, so he's mainly a minor league guy. I mean, a solid guy. Solid AAA performance, solid scout ratings for a reliever, got a good work ethic, but just was a guy who I was ready to kick off the 40-man, and I shopped him around, and no one was really interested except for the Colorado Rockies, who were extremely interested. I mean, this trade's a little cheesy, but so we got back. The prize of the deal was Tristan Nemho, who he is a first base / DH, but looks like, I mean, with a fly ball pull hitter with this kind of power and avoid Ks. So he's at AA for us because he hadn't played above AA yet, and he'd even only had 17 plate appearances at AA. Not even really a lot above A. So he'd been in high A and A before that. How did they acquire him? He was a 35th overall pick in 2023, and he's developed. I don't know why. This trade doesn't necessarily make sense, but they'd actually given him 42 plate appearances this season, and he'd done fairly well. But I put him in AA just because he'd hardly had any at bats there. And he's doing well so far. I think he's very clearly a AAA guy, maybe even get a cup of coffee in the majors this year. He's still got 2 option years left. But a possible first base DH guy, again, the defense, can't play defense anywhere. Certainly limits his value, but if he can come in and mash, we're happy with that. And then 2 other guys who look like halfway interesting prospects, but they're like 23 and 23, both 23. Kind of more decent minor league depth who, maybe if they take a step forward could compete for a major league spot at some point. So that was a nice trade. We then traded Jose Abreu and Matthew Acosta to the Orioles. We got Luke Voit and a minor league pitcher who looks okay. This was more about, again, Abreu is just not working out. The 45 WRC plus. Now, has he gone to the Orioles and put up a 177 WRC plus in 36 plate appearances? Yes, he has. He has done that. 579 BABIP. It's not going to last. He's still walking and striking out at the same rate, both of which are worse than his career. He's gone there and had a really nice hot streak, which is frustrating, but it happened. Matthew Acosta, who we tried to give him the major league job this year, and he was struggling big time in 153 plate appearances. He's 28 now. Now, he'd had some cup of coffee with us a couple times the last 2 years and had played well. He played well at AAA, and he just didn't get it done this year. Normally I would not trade a guy like this necessarily, but the reason being he's 28. Like, it's past his time to, if you're at 28 and you come out, you're handed the starting outfield job and you come out and just bomb across 153 plate appearances. We have other guys who we'd like to give chances to who are younger and probably have a higher ceiling at this point. He's gone to Baltimore and put up nice numbers. Luke Voit has come to Kansas City and put up a 24 WRC plus in just 22 plate appearances. Of course, he's hardly played. Struck out in 45% of them. He was having a really nice season in Baltimore. He's a free agent. Hasn't worked out so far. And then that was the end of the trade. So Ohtani is back up. But yeah, you can see it's just not happening this year for us. So what do we do from here? So I do have some guys in the minors who I'd like to come up and give some time to kind of try them out for next year. You know, see what they're looking at, because we're gonna have to make some additions in the offseason, and it's gonna be really hard to do so because our owner is really not happy about this season. Wait, where is it? Oh, he's still satisfied here, but the planned budget for next year speaks otherwise. He's planning to cut our budget from 192 to 162 by $30 million. That's going to be a problem. It's going to be a major problem. You know, we have no money for free agents right now for next year. Now, of course, we can adjust the scouting, development, all that. But yeah, so anyways, what I'm saying is we're going to have some holes we need to fill next year. And we might not have the money to do a lot of it. So we want to call up some of these guys and see if from AAA and maybe a couple from AA to see if they can fill in some of the holes. So we're going to trade the guys on expiring contracts, bring up some guys. Now, the issue is because we have some places on the roster where we're going to need to fill holes next season, I'd almost like some of my trades of the rentals to be for get back maybe some major league players who possibly could play a role for us next year. But that kind of then pushes out the guys that I want to give some time to this year. So it's like a balancing act. But you know, we're not gonna rebuild here, right? We're right in the middle of Ohtani's deal, like I said, Witt's prime, Melendez's prime. We've got Marsh and Singer and Lopez still here. Like, this is a team that needs to compete. It's just going to be tricky to compete next year if we lose $30 million of budget room and don't have a fully loaded roster. So a bit, you know, tough times in Kansas City right now. Tough times. Let me show you some of the guys that I think are worth a look this year. It's mainly hitters, I think. I think that's right. Oops. Why? Oh, scope Major League. Why would I want the scope on the Major League? So Darryl Collins is a guy he's not going to be great anywhere in the field, and this is kind of a theme for some of the guys, which is a little troubling because I need good defense on my teams. But he's hitting the crap out of the ball in AAA. He's 24, so he's a dude. Tristan Lutz, man, I don't know, dude. I don't know what to say about you anymore. You've been pretty bad across how many plate appearances he got in major leagues. He's gotten 395 plate appearances with a 63 WRC plus. Continues to be great in AAA. Edison Mora, I don't know, man. You're striking out 35% of the time, or 30% of the time. Good numbers because of a BABIP. He doesn't walk. I don't know. Maybe he could be a utility guy. I don't know. He's not necessarily, guys. Xavier Bussey looks like, I mean, he's 26, so he's a little older, but he's got the 65 outfield range, and he's been hitting okay in AAA this year, and hit really well in AA last year. So, maybe he's like a fourth outfielder type. Brooks Lee is slumping. Now, this guy is interesting because he's got the 70 infield range and had a 113 WRC plus at AA this year, and he's got a 91 WRC plus at AAA. Not outstanding, but when you can flash glove with a 70 range, we're interested. He could also get some corner outfield experience and be decent there. Looks like they've played him at where'd you go, dude? Looks like they've played him at some center field too this year, but I mean, I'd love to see what he can come up and do, because if he can play second base really well in the middle of the diamond with a 70 range. But again, like, I have a center fielder like that, I have a shortstop like that who are light with the bat but great with the glove, and our offense sucks. So not a sure thing that we want to go that route, but we've got a couple interesting bats down here too. I mean, Nemho we already talked about. Would love to get him up sometime at first base. Cam Collier, our 9th overall pick in 2023, finally showing signs of life after some slow seasons. He started the year in high A and was ripping it up. Now he's been up to AA for 120 plate appearances, been up for about a month, and he's hitting really well. So I don't think I'm going to promote him to the major league roster this year, but I think he's going to come up to AAA here soon and get some experience, and he could be a guy who makes a difference for us next year, possibly on the major league roster, which would be good. We need some guys to come up. Maldonado is not having a great year. Bryce Chance is another guy who, defense looks iffy. He's our 10th round pick from 2024. I don't know. He just wasn't on my radar, and he wasn't one of the guys that I was promoting and demoting. But he should have been up. He should have moved up a little quicker through the system now. But he's in. I got him up to AA once I noticed this. He's got the work ethic and intelligence, and he's playing really well. So I think that he's only got 29 plate appearances at AA, but I think he's a guy who will be on our radar next year. I don't know that he'll be up this year. Let's see, who else he hasn't played much. He's been fine. Yeah, these and notice a lot of these are draft picks who are kind of starting to come up. 2023 round 12, and he's 24, but he's hitting well in AA. Girardi for some reason hasn't played much. I think I need to clear out some of this minor league depth. Pitching side of things, we do have Ryan Ginther, who came over as the headliner in that Devers Suriel trade, and he's pitching really well according to FIP and Sierra. ERA is at 5.14 though, because the BABIP against is pretty brutal. Could be a defense thing down there. He's walking 4.7 per 9. Strikeout to walk percentage is 18.6. Possibly at 23, we probably want to get him some innings at AAA before the end of the year here soon. Ryan Kennedy was a round 6 pick in 2025. He's having a decent season, but again, another guy who FIP and Sierra is much better than his ERA. So I think, I don't see like superstar guys here. Logan Solomon was a 2025 pick who has been okay in AAA. Scouting doesn't look great. I don't see like a lot of superstars here, but we've got some guys in the system that I'd like to continue to promote. I think mainly the bats that I would call up this year are probably Sapero, Collins. Mo Hampton has a 70 outfield range, but has just been brutal with the bat this year in AAA after having a decent season at AA last year. So, yeah, I think, maybe run Brooks Lee up again, even though, he's not doing anything at AA either, or AAA, and he sucked in the majors. So that's pretty big bummer of the season for him. But maybe call up like Collins, Sapero, Lee, find room for them, and then eventually, and Nemho, I think, and then like promote Chance, Collier, and maybe some other dudes. So who's moving out? Well, basically anybody on an expiring contract, I'd say. Like Nick Anderson, Abreu's gone. Yastrzemski, back out. Castellanos, Taylor, Voit, Brousseau, maybe Framber Valdez. He's, if we're cutting $30 million next year, that's $2.2 million. Not sure about that. So, yeah, I think those are the guys I'd move out. I kind of started shopping around a little bit, like just as I was messing around. I can't remember. Do we have many shops left today? I can't remember if I... Here, let's just like randomly bring a guy up here. Okay, so I have 2 more shops today. So, again, I'm not really... I wasn't finding many good prospects when I have 7 of these. When I was shopping guys around, like even like I'll say a hold 100%. Let's just look for like let's look for major league outfielders. Nah, you know what? Let's just say all players. Because I'd like to bring in some dudes who could possibly help us next season, since we might not have the money to go out and do it. But not really all that interested in just bringing in random relievers, which is mostly what this is, or 33-year-old Kyle Schwarber, who's also a free agent. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the players that we're getting offered are probably going to be free agents or relievers or both. Finnegan, free agent, yeah. And I don't really want to like overload my minor league system with a bunch of like 25 and 26-year-old AAA prospects, which is probably what we'll get offered here. That's not all that interesting to me. Oh, this is Mike Brousseau, like he's a utility guy who's not having a great year. Yeah, not a single prospect offered. Yeah, which isn't surprising for him. Castellanos is a guy who's having another really nice year for us, but he's 34. Like, we wouldn't even be able to. We're about $5 million over budget for next year, anyways. And he wants 21, which would put us $26 million over budget. So we're not going to be able to do that. And he's not going to get that money. But, and I think he is one of the ones that I kind of shopped around and wasn't, not a lot coming back. Let me confirm that here. Yeah. Like a 24-year-old with that kind of, yeah, you can see the ages here, right? Kind of what I was saying, like I don't have a lot of interest in overloading my system with guys like that. Now this is a halfway interesting bullpen arm, right? He's in high A at 24. Here's a fairly interesting, actually 12th overall pick in 2023, but it's like, how many first base DH guys can you have? Like I've got Darryl Collins, I've got Nemho, like I've already got dudes like this, and maybe this dude will end up better than them. And he has hit the crap out of the ball in the minors, but I don't know. Like I don't really want to overload my system with those kind of guys either. Now this guy's halfway interesting. As a 24-year-old, doesn't have a great defensive home with 55 range, is not great for second or short. Obviously, 50 arm is not good for third. He can't play the outfield at all. So he's basically, his bat's not going to be good enough to justify a starting job. I don't think I think you're maybe looking at a utility guy, but he's 24 in Double-A. So like how much, and he's also hurt, right? This is the guy who's on. Yeah, he's hurt for how long? He sprained his ankle and he's fragile already. So, again, we're not expecting to be blown away with the offers, but this guy maybe could play some third, but he's a 25-year-old. He's a Rule 5 pick, so he's going to have to stay up. Yeah, as you can see here, when was Owen Cobb drafted? Third round 2022. And he's hit. He's 25, though. Yeah, I'm just not really interested in that. Again, these are kind of the type of offers you'd expect for a 35-year-old rental first baseman, right? So like I wish this guy had some defensive ability. But of course that's why they're offering him a trade, because they see the same flaws that we do. So what if we said like prospect package? No, I don't really want to. Well, let's allow them. They're going to allow guys I don't want to trade. They're going to ask for guys I don't want to trade as part of these packages. I'm sure. This is a very slow-moving. Yeah, so like Tristan Nemho, they all want Nemho. This is number 159th prospect in baseball, 60 infield range. Okay, we're getting there. Good bat. He's 24, hitting well in Double-A. Could maybe fake it in the corner too. But again, I'm not looking to trade Nemho. Look at this guy. Yeah, man, your defense sucks though. Devin Hicks. Wow, third overall pick from 2023. The Gangsters are offering us here, who is pitching very well in high A. Now, what are they wanting? Nemho and Castellanos. Now, what if I take Nemho out of it? Yeah. Oh, actually, okay, there are more names here than I was expecting. Certainly more name. Wow, okay. So, like, there are some guys here. These are all guys who the AI continues to ask for. I don't want to trade Chance or Collier. De Cardenas, who's this again? Oh, a scouting discovery. Okay, this guy wasn't really on my radar, but hey, I don't want to deal him in this trade, though. I think he could have more value than that at some point if I decide to deal him. This is a guy who we drafted in 2024. Round 6. He's 24 now. He's hit well until this year in AAA. Not really a guy I want to trade. He's also a leader. Like, he's close to maybe getting a shot with the major league team, and we need some of that talent coming up, so I don't really want to deal him. Lungari is certainly a guy I'm willing to trade, but probably a guy I'd more want to carefully shop around because he comes up in a lot of trade discussions. Lorenzo is a guy who The scouting is not like, but his walks have been manageable in the minor league. So, but he's high A, 23. I don't know, how much do we like this guy? Fifth starter. What's he throw? 92 to 94. So these are like almost here is a leader, work ethic, good catcher. He's still in rookie ball. I should probably get this guy on my prospect list and promote him. But again, like, I don't know how far he's going with this bat, but with the work ethic, you know, I don't think that the pitcher we're getting back is like such a can't miss guy. And I think maybe we can trade Castellanos without then sending a prospect too. Rivera's another guy who gets asked about a lot, who is so young. He's 17. He's already in rookie ball. It's not hitting great, but I don't know. I'm just not in love with Devin Hicks here enough to like, I don't really want to give up another prospect in return. So I want to try to see if there's a way I can do that. Now here's Will Klein. We're not going to deal him either. We're not going to deal Luke Murphy. Those are going to be some of the guys who lock down our bullpen soon, but or next year. So Mooney's really struggled this year. Ryan Wallace is, yeah, that fielding just kind of sucks. This guy is so far away from the majors. It's in rookie ball, doing well, but we have a lot of those guys in our system already. The Orioles are wanting to offer up a couple of young guys. So far away. And I realize I'm saying, oh, these guys are so far away. Also, I don't want to load up my minor league guys with 25-year-old guys. You know, I get it. But this guy's pretty interesting. How bad are his walks? 3.6%. He's pitching out of the bullpen in Double-A. Surprising. Has he started anywhere? What's this guy's story? He's around 6th pick in 2023. Then he's traded in 2025. The control could be a problem, but the stamina is nice. Yeah. Kind of interested in this dude. Oh, he's already pitched in the majors in 2025. He pitched 39 innings and put up 1.3 WAR and 0.4 RWAR. He had a 2.28 FIP and a 2.09 Sierra. How many option years does he have left? 1 option year left. So next year he's optionable. So what are they asking for Luke Murphy? I'd assume it's probably the Murphy part they're mainly interested in. We're getting closer. How close? Oh, we're not close at all. No. All right. That's not happening. I was interested there for a minute, Boston. No. Who's this dude? Not really interested in giving up TJ White, so that's kind of a no-go for us. Omar Samano is 18 and 17 million years away from playing in the majors. I think we just have so many of these really high ceiling young players, which are never bad to have. I'm just looking to supplement different parts of our organization right now than that. Halfway interesting dude here. What's going on? So yeah, I think what I'll do is go through these trades some more, figure out what we're going to do, who we're going to trade away, and come back and let you know how the trade deadline goes. But yeah, this is kind of, I don't expect like really all that great of returns for anybody. You know, the hope being that maybe we can do one of these, include another player guy and identify somebody who they're willing to trade, but then not give up this other player, right? Find somebody other than Nemho and those other guys that they asked for that we can trade. Anyways, yeah, we'll come back. I'll work through this the tedium here and come back and recap this deadline. Okay, so the trade deadline is passed. We're actually in late August now, and sorry if there's a tapping in the background. Got some laundry going in the other room. Not sure how much you guys can hear that or not. So I made a bunch of trades. Traded away basically everybody on an expiring deal, and also opened up a lot of spaces on my roster for younger players to try to prove themselves for next year. So let's go through the trades we traded, and I did retain a lot of salary in these deals to try to get back better players. I didn't get back any like monsters, any guys who are like, wow, can build around this guy. But I traded rentals. I didn't expect to get that back. So I traded Nick Anderson, who was a free agent. Framber Valdez was not a free agent, but he was just making too much money. He wasn't pitching that well out of the bullpen. Just wasn't feeling it anymore. And so we got back Luis Rodriguez was probably the best piece we got back. You can see he's been playing on the Major League team, 63 plate appearances, not really doing much yet. But was, he's hit pretty much everywhere he's been in the minors. And so he was the best piece we got back. The rest was just mostly filler in this deal, honestly. I think maybe this guy... Yeah, I mean, this guy's in Double-A, but that control is going to be an issue, probably. So, yeah, the other guys were just kind of filler. And then just, like, some minor league guys who, you don't expect much from. Then I traded Mike Yastrzemski to the Rockies. I got back Adele Amador, who I think was part of my Phillies sim, maybe. And he, I mean, a decent prospect at 23, can probably play second base decently enough with the 60 range. He could fill in a pinch at short and third, but not great. He could also, utility guy who could maybe play some corner outfield too. He hasn't gotten much AAA experience yet, but and his bat wasn't great in Double-A this year, but he crushed A-ball the year before that. So we'll see what he can do. And then we traded Senzel and Castellanos to the Padres. And this was one where the main guy I got back is a guy who's really far away, but it was just the best player I could get back by far. It's this guy, Omar Samano. High work ethic and hitting really well in his first year in rookie ball. What's he angry about? Transactions in the team record. Oh, and team chemistry. Okay, well, I got problems in the Dominican League, I guess. But yeah, a guy who's really far away, but didn't want to pass up on him because no team was offering anything even halfway tempting of guys higher in the minors. The rest of these guys I think are mostly filler. Yeah, I mean just like 65 range, cool. You can play good defense for me. Yeah, like this guy's a bullpen arm who's 24. Same thing here. So not a lot back, just some decent minor league players. But yeah. Oh, and I did trade Josh Taylor. I don't think I did this on the last cut, but I got back this guy, Starling Castillo, who I think is an interesting guy at 24 as a starter with these two pitches. He's pitched 14 and a third innings for me. Now his FIP is 4.81, but his ERA is 2.51. The BABIP at 172. He's walking 5 guys per 9, which is concerning. He's never pitched above Double-A, so I probably rushed him a bit here, but he was already on the 40-man. I just figured, what the heck? Let's see what he's got, and he'll probably start next year in Triple-A unless he keeps pitching a 2.51 ERA. So there's that trade. Then we traded Mike Brousseau and Luke Voigt to the Twins. We got back a whole lot of nothing, I think. This is just an interesting guy to stash at Triple-A. He's 25, but if his control takes a hop up 5 points, which OSA sees as possible. And actually he was pitching in A-ball, which is weird. He was pitching really well in A-ball last year, and then started pitch this year in low A-ball, whatever. Low work ethic, unmotivated. We were giving up 2 guys who were on expiring deals and not very good this year. So got him back, and then got this guy back who really isn't all that interesting either, but again, just minor league depth, and he's 25. But again, if he shows a little improvement here in like avoid Ks and I, then like maybe you've got a guy who could maybe be a utility player, right? But we weren't expecting to get much back. We were getting guys back in deals who are good high minors depth, a few interesting players, and also we opened up spots on our major league roster for players to come in and showcase for next year. So we do have more injuries to report. MJ Melendez has been out since early August, strained his PCL. Return time is unknown. Nicky Lopez is out. He's back in 2 days. Asa Lacy, who was pitching to a 3.98 ERA, 3.03 FIP for us, he is out for 2 more months. He strained his forearm. So those are the new injuries. I mean, it's been tough, man. So who has that opened up roles for? Let's go there. Let's do this. Let's do it this way. So Mario Melendez, is that MJ's brother, by the way? Are they related? I don't know. I know you guys will know, and I could always Google it. But he came up when MJ went down. He's only played 3 games, but he's hit the ball. Tristan Nemho is up, the guy we got from the Rockies. He's struggled so far in 83 plate appearances, but we still have faith. Oh, Brooksley is hurt. I need to find Jay-Z's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. He just got hurt. Sapero, the really good glove who is in AAA, he's been brutal with the bat so far. Edison Mora, who is a guy we got from Milwaukee last year, probably not a major league player at 26 with this kind of eye and avoid Ks. Really wasn't tearing up AAA, but was decent. But really just giving him a cup of coffee here. I don't expect much from him. Eric Pena is not doing too much with his chance yet. Daryl Collins is hitting the ball right now for us. It's at 80 plate appearances, 138 WRC plus. Luis Rodriguez, we talked about. TJ White is doing all right. But then we called up some pitchers. Brandon Hendricks is a 9th-round pick for us in 2023 who just got shelled. His ERA went from 2.49 to 4.38 in 24 innings. We also called up Castillo is up, right? And then Apple Bay. Is it Apple Bay here? Wow, all right. Who was a 7th-round pick in 2022. He's pitched 7 innings and done really well so far. And we've got some other interesting arms down here. Where's the one guy who is this the guy who yeah, like this guy, is this the guy? No, that's not the guy. Was it this guy? I'm blanking on who the guy is now. Maybe he's in AAA. Yeah, but both those guys were draft picks. Here's another draft pick I've got, and this guy's pitching well. I've got a bunch of bunch of pitchers that I drafted that are kind of like coming up and doing all right. Ryan Ginther is in AAA now. This is the guy we got back in that Devers deal. So we've got some help coming. And you know, it's a bummer that this is a lost year, but it's kind of fun to watch guys like Hendricks and Appleby come up and then give time to guys like Pena and well, Brooksley, not anymore. So I'll send the rest of the season here and check back in with how we're doing then. Well, my friends, we have reached the end of the trying and difficult 2026 season, finishing with a record of 72-90. Real hot down the stretch, 7-3 in our last 10. All right, building momentum for next year. Run differential was 88 below 0 is one way we could say it. It's interesting. We were 45-36 at home and then just got crushed on the road, 27-54. I wonder if it's like our pitching staff is much better in our spacious home ballpark. So we were decent against lefties, 500, and then struggled against righties, which is interesting because we were a pretty left-handed team. But let's show you the final numbers here. 14th in runs scored, so we leapt up from 15th all the way to 14th. We did in September go almost 500, and yeah, from September on, I mean, the last 30-ish games, only a game below 500. Our starters ERA really bombed out. Our defense really tanked. I think that could be part of that. I just was calling up a bunch of guys and playing them in a bunch of positions. They're not all great fielders. Just trying to get a look at bats for next year. Could be that. Could be other things. We'll get that squared away for sure. Let's see. I have a Rule 5 filter on that I don't need. And so in terms of, now this won't have like Wood and Lacey, I guess. So all the hitters are here. In terms of how the season ended, Ohtani, Melendez, and Witt all had great seasons. Witt was not a superstar at the bat, but 5.5 WAR overall. Melendez very solid with the bat. But some of the guys we called up showed some promise, like Carlos Rodriguez here. Oops, that's the wrong guy. Carlos Rodriguez here is a guy we got from Milwaukee back in January of 24, and he's just hit everywhere he goes. Now, he doesn't hit for power, and he's also not a great fielder, but he's a captain, and in most stops along his way, he walked more or as much as he struck. I mean, look at this in AAA this year. It was only 23 plate appearances, but he walked in 21% and struck out in 13%. 10% walk rate in the majors this year across a nice 69 plate appearances, 13% strike rate, but put up a 129 WRC plus. Again, you'll kind of see the theme here among these guys who are hitting well is they're not great fielders, so we'll figure that out. But I think between like corner outfield, DH, first base, we can make this work. But I think, he's a guy who has certainly earned a longer look. TJ White had 308 plate appearances for us and put up a 127 WRC plus. Again, another guy who's not a great fielder, but 15 home runs across 82 games is nice for a team that struggles to hit home runs. I think he's got a role for us next year. Darryl Collins, not a power hitter, but put up a 118 WRC plus across 181 plate appearances. Edison Mora, I don't know if I believe in this profile enough. The 429 BABIP, he did, his bat was above league average, but he struck out 32% of the time and walked 2% of the time. I think he's good, maybe like a bench player, but really probably like one of your first call-ups when you have injuries is probably more how I see him. He is 26 now. Eric Pena was fine with the bat, but really struggled in the field. Tristan Nemho, a disappointing start for him, but then he really heated up down the stretch, got his bat up right around a league average. So I think we've got a possible spot for him next year too. You can see in September he put up the 128. Here, let's just look at Major League. You can see in September he really slumped, but then or August he really slumped with the 55 WRC plus, but then got really hot in September and August. So in September and October, geez, can't speak. So I kind of like lined this up how it might look for next year with Melendez obviously back at catcher, Collins maybe at first base, but he also can get some time in left and right field. Again, we're going to have some fielding concerns, but we'll try to work through that. Second base is open. We need a second baseman. The Nick Lofton experience. I think Lofton maybe is a utility player. He's not a starter. We need a big bat. This guy, Sapero, who we called up, who's got the elite glove, just miserable with the bat across 188 plate appearances with a 19 WRC plus. A poor BABIP, but still, man, like he's a guy who's going to play in AAA and come up if we have injuries or we need a glove. He doesn't really have a spot next year. Third base and shortstop are still locked down. Then we'd have possibly White, Mayer, Ohtani. I mean, Mayer, this is like painful, man. 55 WRC plus, but he's so good with the glove. His zone rating was 20 plus 21.9. I think Mayer and Lopez we don't really count on for the bat. Of course, Lopez had a great year with the bat this year, but if we have Mayer and Lopez down towards the bottom of the order, we need strong bats throughout. So we need to bring in a second baseman with at least a league average bat. Really, with Melendez, Witt, and Ohtani, kind of the star offensive players, all really good or better. And then assuming Lopez and Mayer are glove first guys, we really just need like second base, left field, first base, and DH to be like as a sum, like league average hitters. That's what we need. And we did not get that for much of the year this year. We had like, Jose Abreu with his like 42 WRC plus and all those other jokers. Randall Grichuk with a terrible year. So just so many guys that were just black holes of offense. And I don't need superstars here. Like, if Collins with his 118, White 127, Rodriguez a 129 WRC plus, if those guys can all be around league average, like we'd be fine offensively. And Nemho, I think, will kind of be like a bench bat. I think he'll be a bench bat who plays probably 4 to 5 times per week between first base and DH. So pitching side of things, of course, that Asa Lasa injury was pretty nasty. But Starling Castillo, we brought over from Detroit at the deadline. We traded who for him again? Which trade was that? Josh Taylor. He showed some promise with a 2.70 ERA and a 3.77 FIP across 40 innings. I really don't think I need to do a ton with I kind of like switched up a bunch of roles to get different guys' innings. But I think Klein, Martinez, Murphy, and Carraway is like, if you have one as your closer / stopper, and then 2 as setup guys, and then 1 is like your ace middle reliever. That's not a thing, but you know what I mean, like your top middle reliever. I think that's a really good 4 for the bullpen, and then I've got a bunch of other interesting arms. Now, some of the draft picks I called up, Hendricks, pitched 47 innings and got roughed up a bit, and Appleby, Pitched 26 innings. He had a 7.18 ERA, but his FIP was 3.52, SIERA 3.54. So like some of these guys, I think you could kind of like try out in long relief next year, like Hernandez, Moore, Garcia. Like I think the pitching staff is fine. I think the pitching staff is totally fine as long as we have really like the sum of our offense needs to be league average and our defense needs to be above league average and our pitching staff is solid. Like we've got the makings of a team here. We just need to avoid those black holes we've had. So number one priority going into the offseason is going to be second base. And, you know, I am a little gun shy about leaving like Collins, White, and Rodriguez as plan A coming into the season because we've been burned doing that with guys like Tristan Lutz and Matthew Acosta and all these dudes that just haven't worked out for us. But it's even happened with star players we brought like Devers and Eloy. It's a challenge. It's been a challenging sim offensively, especially the last some years more than others. But this year, really, everything was more of an issue. Was brought into hyper focus, I guess, right? So that's the end of the 2026 season. We will, you know, again. Oh, here's the other big thing. Like, why am I not going out and doing more? So remember our budget was going to drop by 30 million. It's not set to drop by 40 million. I don't think I've ever had a $40 million budget drop in one season, 192 to 152. Our budget is going to go back down. So what was it this year? It was 140 and then 160. So it's going to be about what it was. It's going to be like our second lowest budget. We've been winning, so he's been doing more and more, but now he's just roping it all the way back in. He does have a controlling fiscal personality, Mr. John Sherman, and we did not achieve the winning record that he wanted. So, oh well. All right. Thank you for watching. The Royals are going to try not to fail you in 2027. We're going to give it our best. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.